Hello, friends. Welcome to Q&A Tuesday. So we do this every week, 8 a.m. Pacific time. And I have many, many questions that people have sent in, especially those who are in the Eating Peace private group or, just a group on Facebook here that is filled with people interested in the end of compulsion, peace in the midst of compulsion, understanding what's going on here. And somebody asked the most general, simple question. How do I find peace? How do I trust myself with food when I see myself and a lot of proof that I am untrustworthy? It's like if you had a friend and a companion and you know what works and what doesn't, and this friend and companion happens to be you, like split into several people, and there's the eater over there that blasts through everything you've ever promised yourself or what you really want or how you want to see things and what works for you, and just says, I don't care, and overrides all of that and moves into the compulsive behavior. I really like seeing that. It's common for any kind of compulsive experience. It's like the emotional and reactive mode of human beings. It doesn't matter if it's eating. It can be all the things, all the things. And there's been in-depth study of addiction and what's going on and what this energy of compulsion is. And at the base core, it feels like there is a lack of trust for the self. Like, why am I doing this? What's going on? What's happening? I don't even get it. I get sideswiped by myself. I like to first think about what is to trust? To trust. What does it mean if I'm trusting? And noticing that the mind comes up with this idea that trust is missing and I need to capture it, or get it or hunt it down somewhere and learn how to do it. And I'm not saying that wouldn't be kind and supportive to feel trust for oneself and one's own behaviors, but I would question that you don't trust yourself. What I found is that the compulsive behavior itself is very human, and people have all kinds of responses and reactivity to life and the world. Eating, drinking, buying, interneting, porn, planning, making lists, doing, getting busy, staying busy. It's like a compulsion to think and see the world in a certain way, as if there's success and failure, or the right way to be doing things and the wrong way to be doing things, and that the mind needs to be involved in that. But is that thinking who you really are? Is this trust that we're seeking required to be balanced in day-to-day life? It is interesting to see, can I trust what will happen tomorrow, even about life itself, which is a great and incredible mystery? And can I trust what's so far happened in the world? I don't know. I do know that when it comes to this compulsive behavior, could it be possible that we can trust that it has a message, a very important one, a clarifying one, something that we really need to look at, instead of seeing it all as a great battle and splitting up the person that we are into a bunch of parts, except for that's okay to do that. But seeing there's this one part that I don't like, the aggressive eater, or the graze eater, or the demander, or the one, pushing forward into always doing the thing, demanding that I do the thing, and then the disappointment and shame and guilt that I feel later. Is that part wrong? Is it bad? Maybe in some lights you could say untrustworthy. But I can trust that it needs to be attended to in some way, even just opening your mind a little bit to that in order to understand everything that's going on here. If you really look, sort of step back and take a bird's eye view of the process of life, and looking and thinking and seeing and feeling as we move through the world, and how I'm even defining myself in the world. Like, am I a little silo person that's just trying to get through and survive? And then the world is like filled with all these mysterious and unusual happenings, which is kind of true. There's lots of mysterious and unusual happenings, or we just don't even know what's going on, and painful things, suffering. Can I just hold that perhaps there's some kind of dynamic here, because it's not uncommon. It's not as if we're the only person ever. I remember thinking that at the beginning of my eating disorder. Mine began really, my thinking around food and eating, that was really kind of upside down and topsy-turvy and painful, and lots of suffering in it, and like all this fixated focus on eating and food and making sure I was the weight. That really started the end of the 70s when I was a teenager. And I had never heard the word bulimic, but like this, overwhelming urge to just eat everything in sight and fill and fill and fill until it could barely hold anymore. And then the remorse and unhappiness that would come after, and the decision to purge or starve, or some people have done laxatives. That didn't happen to be what I moved to, but just this incredible anxiety about getting rid of this damage that you've apparently done. Well, what if we questioned that this, yes, there's damage. Of course, the body gets hurt. It doesn't feel comfortable. Even if you're just binge eating, and maybe the purge part shows up differently, and the body gets heavy. It doesn't really matter what the unique specific circumstances look like. It's just the remorse and pain that comes after, and looking at and deciding that means I'm not trustworthy. What if that wasn't true? What if that urgency that comes, that capacity to see and be so panicked that it would blast through the walls that we've set up of control, because it's really important that something wants to be digested or moved through or taken all the way to the end. Maybe heartbreak, fear, understanding, being afraid, like having an emotion that moves all the way into the expression. And like emotions are very movable, and like the weather patterns, they start and flow, and then there's an end to them. And often, in my thinking at least, and what I see from all the people that I work with, is that there's a binding, like I have this emotion, and then it's sort of stuck in the system. It's stuck in the whole organism. I refuse to feel that feeling. I don't want to see. I don't want to be heartbroken. I don't want to be full of grief. I don't want to accept that that's happened, or that's the way I'm seeing things. So I'm avoiding and sedating and hyper focusing on something else that's distracting, that isn't that I don't want to look at. And just as this invitation, could I trust that this experience is rising? Could I trust this experience, that it has a message, that there's something that deep within I actually want to see, and I want to be with, and I want to move through? Could I trust that this is just not some random, wild, poor quality that's inside this human being? The wanter. I just want too much. I used to just think I'm just greedy. I'm just so greedy. I've just got some kind of problem with the wanting thing. Who would we be without the story? What if that wasn't the case? What if there's something wanted and it's all right to be wanting that? And it isn't the food. We always know it's not the food. It's not the cigarettes. It's not the drugs. It's not the stuff. It's not really ever satisfying. We want more, just it's like a very temporary release. No wonder. I mean, we're just not comfortable or satisfied. It doesn't feel, something feels off. Instead of attacking ourselves and saying, oh, look, it means we really aren't trustworthy. I've got a lot of proof. Look at all those, the reaching and grabbing and doing the thing, whatever the thing is that I'm doing. That's my proof that I can't be trusted. Maybe that's proof you can be trusted. You can be trusted to be somebody where that dynamic of nature, of who you are, isn't going to give up. It wants to see, it wants to be seen, it wants to be expressed, it wants to be human, it wants to be here. I don't know. But to see that this behavior or dynamic is actually something to investigate and be with and study, it can be incredibly peaceful just to know that. Like, how interesting. It was almost as if in my process of recovery and understanding, I became unable to do almost anything else except look at this, because it was it's such an interrupter of life. And is that even true? No, I actually had a job. I mean, I wound up graduating from college, and then I had a job, and it wasn't a very demanding job, but it was a good one. And I was able to get an apartment, a little studio apartment, and live there. And I was able to go to a group to understand this in more depth, and it was useful. So it was a journey. And to see that it actually assisted me in expanding how I saw life and myself and all human beings and feeling more connected was incredible. Who would you be just right now in this moment? Just being willing to do that today without the story. This is about trust and lack of it. This is about me. This is something personal that I'm missing. What if it's just my thinking is missing or trying to protect me from, seeing more fully, being with the fullness of life, thinking I need to avoid and sedate what's going on because it's painful. Who would you be without the story? So just put that in your pocket today. Maybe even seeing the next time you feel like reaching, or the compulsion or the urge, or there's your mind full of thinking. I need to think about this. I mean, that's kind of the compulsion before the behavior even happens. I need to be thinking about this, or I need to not be thinking about that. So I'm going to go over here instead. And what if the mind's just getting full of what is acceptable or not is a natural capacity for the mind? It's just what minds do and what thinking does. What if I can trust that when that's happening, there's something to learn here. There's something to be aware of. There's something to wonder about in my heart and soul that I might not have been willing to see so far, and that's okay too. I've been afraid. What if that's coming and there's a potential for healing in this moment? I can trust the urge and know that it's saying, slow down, take a moment. Notice that you don't feel safe. Be here. Be here anyway. Who are you without your story? Life itself, living. Who would you be without the thought there's something wrong with you? You can't be trusted. Who would you be without that? Pretty amazing. So let me know how it goes. Play with that today. It's very powerful. All right, lots of love.